Hey guys, welcome back to the layout. So today I have a layout tour for you guys. I got some comments and some feedback saying that they would like to see a tour, at least to kind of explain where stuff is in the railroad. So we'll kind of take a little quick tour. I figured we'd start here in Morrisville. So this was the main railroad I wanted to model, the Lamoille Valley, and then everything else kind of went around it. Now, the Lamoille Valley started operation in 1978. And this was pretty much a bridge line between the Central Vermont and the CP, Boston, Maine, and Maine Central railroads in St. Johnsbury. So they would run Swanton to St. Johnsbury, pretty much 24-hour operation. And again, it was really more one big train a day, maybe a couple locals out, nothing too crazy. So modeling it itself wouldn't really sustain a operating session. So the other thing we had to do is come up with something else to model as well. So it was kind of going to be a two-man operation. Now we decided to go into the route of Boston, Maine, and CP rail for the pure fact that in 1983 the Maine Central subdivision, the Mountain subdivision of the Maine Central, was shut down after the acquisition of Guilford. After the acquisition by Guilford of the Maine Central. So modeling CP rail's Lyndonville subdivision really lent itself to, at least for us, to kind of bring some power from all the railroads together. Anything after 1983 would really become, a mixed match of engines between Delaware and Hudson, Conrail, all that stuff. So it kind of let power, any really buying any type of power in New England would be okay. So that's kind of what we went with. We already had some stuff like that anyway, so that just was the route we wanted to go. I know a couple other people out there model the same line, maybe a little earlier, a little later, but that's where we wanted to stick to. CP rail also has some really interesting stuff, so that was something else that kind of led us to model that. So again, I modeled the Lamoille Valley, Boston, Maine, and CP rail. Time frame we picked was between 1980 and 1983, so that lent itself to some unique circumstances at the time. The Lamoille Valley, for instance, they're chop nosing RS3s, so the short hoods of the RS3s were taken down. It looked really cool to me, at least, so that was one of the other reasons why I wanted to model them. If you guys go back in later videos, you can actually take a look and see the chop noses. I've done two myself, actually three myself. I'm working on one more, hopefully this spring or summer, so it'll kind of replace one I've already done years ago. So anyway, we're getting back to the point here. So this is Morrisville. This is the shops location for the Lamoille Valley. So this was the midpoint between Swanton and St. Johnsbury. Shops were quite large compared to the real thing. The shops are very large in comparison to what I have here, where I have like a two-stall roundhouse. But that's what I could fit, so that's what we decided to do. So Lamoille Valley will basically during a session we'll run pretty much solely at night, just because of how the area we model it between Morrisville and St. Johnsbury. So I'm just going to try and collapse the tripod here. Okay, so Lamoille Valley will start their day here. They're going to go into the inside loop of the layout here, and then they have a couple industries to work. You have Morrisville Lumber, Swanton Gravel, and Morrisville Agway. Again, it's just kind of what I've labeled them as, but it's really just the industries that you would see most common on Lamoille Valley. So they go down to St. Johnsbury here, and then they would return back. So it's a pretty quick trip for them. And then the rest of the railroad is pretty much primarily CP rail, and has pool power with Boston, Maine, essentially. So right where you see those Conrail engines, we're going to go up that hill, come around the hillside here, and we enter Newport. Now this section between that switch and that switch is supposed to be about 90-something miles, but again, didn't have really the room to fit a large additional railroad there, so we compressed it. And again, primarily a switching railroad. So come down here, you can enter the south side of Newport. This is Poland Green. So this was supposed to be Blue Seal Feeds in Richford. Obviously didn't have the room for that, so we decided to make Poland Green, which is a Newport industry, and that's what we put here. And then we have a little spot for Ethan Allen. This was in Orleans. This is another humongous warehouse to the CP rail, but couldn't really fit that there either. So now you have a single track and a dedicated siding to them. So operating wise, we have a passing siding here and a main line. So in the future, this will become a drop-off point or pickup point for CP rail trains coming from Montreal. So I'll quickly explain that just here. You guys can see right where those trees are. We're actually going to notch that out, and we're going to make a addition to the layout on the left there. That'll be Montreal staging. So that's the idea, at least. When we come over here, we have All Paul Green. Then we have, this is the north side of Newport Yard, so we put the bridge in as a nice seam divider, kind of split it up a little bit. So if you're working one side and the other, you're just working the other side, you can kind of have a nice divide. Then we got Newport, we have our caboose siding, 3 main tracks, and then 3 stall tracks for the engines. Obviously you got to show the engines off. So now this power here is more Guilford, so our timetable floats between 1980 1983, but realistically it can bump up a little more if you wanted to. The line stayed around for a while. The reason we didn't model later was because Lamoille Valley really got crunched with carload, so what would be a 20-car train a couple years ago would now be like a 5-car train. So so we decided to kind of model a happier time on the railroad, and then you guys can kind of see the engine stalls here. So we got the 3 tracks here, and then you have a service bay inside as well. So this was a Walther's 3-stall roundhouse, and knocked down to a single stall. At the time period, the engine house in Newport was falling down, so kind of wanted to represent that a little bit. I have some plans to do some more things, and obviously this year, like I kind of mentioned before, the backdrop is definitely going in. So we're gonna get around to doing that at some point. But I just don't know when right now. So I'd like to get, like I said, probably the majority of this done before that goes in. But that's something that's gonna take a while to do. We have to really sit down and put it together. So, but anyway, guys, that's kind of the quick layout tour. If you want a more in-depth one with layout operations and everything, let me know. I can kind of explain a lot of it. A typical session though does run about 3.5-4 hours. We currently have 8 or so trains, and depends on the carloads and stuff we have. I have currently probably close to 70 cars on the layout right now, and our capacity is about 80, but that's definitely a tough. That would be more of a 1980s type of feel to the layout. So that's when things are really booming then. So we kind of drop off a little bit for the cars, and then So that's pretty much the quick layout tour. So like I said, if you guys want to see more, let me know down in the comment section. I can kind of do a more in-depth one, explain the operations and how the trains work, and how modeling something we have a 6x8 and an 18-foot extension. So modeling something that's pretty small in comparison to a lot of other people's layouts, but manageable, is definitely a way to go for us, I thought. Now again, this layout will probably come down in a couple of years, and I don't know what the plan is for the next one, but maybe the same thing, maybe a little different. But I like to definitely model more of this line. So but like I said too, if you guys want to comment down below, I can kind of go in more in depth, show you guys where we got ideas for things and such, and go a little more in depth on the actual prototypes too. I do know a ton of history about them. My dad was actually one who chased a lot of these trains around at the time, and that's kind of what made me kind of fall into it with him, was the hobby. So, and he always loved the prototypes and everything. So, but anyway, guys, I'll leave you with this little shot of Morrisville, and then we'll, like I said, comment below if you want to see more. I definitely do a lot more, and so stay tuned for some more progress and maybe another layout tour.